welcome to our all candidates meeting for Burnaby South-Metrotown. Thank you all for being here today. My name is Angie Whitfield and I'm the CEO of the Burnaby Board of Trade. And with me today we have Michael Angelo, an independent candidate. We have Mei-Ling Chia, another independent candidate. We have Paul Choi, oh my goodness, my apologies, BC NDP. And we have Carrie McLaren from the BC Green Party. Now, before we get started, I'd just like to take a moment to recognize that we are on the traditional homelands of the Halkomelem and the Snohomish-speaking people, and we extend our gratitude for the opportunity to hold this event here on their territory today. And I also need to thank our partners who make the work that we do here at the Burnaby Board of Trade possible. We have our silver partners, Appia Development, BMO, Fortis BC, Pacific Link College, Prospera Credit Union, TD Insurance, Trans Mountain, and the Vancouver Fraser Port Authority. Our gold partners, ABC Recycling, BD Developments, Electronic Arts, Pacific Blue Cross, and Scotiabank. And last but not least, our platinum sponsors of Alexander College, BCIT School of Business and Media, Burnaby Now, Parkland Corporation, and Simon Fraser University. These organizations continue to invest in the business community here in Burnaby, and we would not be able to do the work that we do without their support. So we are very grateful for their contributions. Okay, so now to kick off today, the way we're going to be running this format is I'll be giving each of the candidates 2 minutes to introduce themselves, their party, and why they're running, a little bit about themselves personally. Then we're going to go into 5 questions focused around business, specifically here in Burnaby, to give people some answers about what issues were most pressing on the business community's mind. And they'll have a minute each to answer that. Because we've got a larger group, I'm going to randomly select the order, and I'll try to mix it up so that everyone has the opportunity to go first and last, and I'll try to mix that up. So without further ado, we will get started with the intros. And for this one, I'm just going to set a gallery here, and I'm just going to go around the screen as I'm seeing it. So let's start with Paul for your intro.
Okay, thanks so much, Angie. So hello, fellow BB2 members. My name is Paul Choi, and I'm proud to be here as your BC NDP candidate for Burnaby South-Metrotown. I grew up in a humble family, living in a mobile home beside the grocery store my parents worked tirelessly to keep running. And from a young age, I learned the value of hard work by watching my parents who faced long hours, adversity, and even racism because they couldn't speak English. And that is why I vow to advocate and stand up for business owners and get involved in business organizations. So for the last 7 years, I've been a proud member of Burnaby Board of Trade. And during that time, I have operated my own small business right here in Burnaby. I also was the president of the Burnaby North Road Business Improvement Association and worked collaboratively with BBOT over the years with Paul Holden, of course, now Angie. And this is why I know firsthand the challenge of our BPOT members face: labor shortages, rising costs, and inflation. But I also know that the BC-NDP stepped up during the last toughest times, like pandemic. And thanks to the vital subsidies and relief programs championed by our government, small businesses like mine were able to survive the lockdowns. And this is absolutely true for me, and I'm sure it is true for many of you as well. And I remember when businesses suddenly stopped and looking at my bank balance and calculated that I could keep the business afloat for only 2 more months until subsidies came in. And this is why we want to keep the BC-NDP government for that continued support. So with my experience as a first responder, a lawyer, and a small business owner, I understand what it takes to represent the need of Burnaby South-Metrotown. Unlike John Rutstad and the Conservatives, who only look out for the wealthiest 2%, the BC-NDP and the David Eby stands for hardworking people like you and me. And we are committed to cutting red tapes, reducing costs, and making sure small businesses like ours survive. So together, we can build a safe, fair, and prosperous community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, next on my screen, I've got Michael. Go ahead.
Yes. What's the question again?
Just a quick 2-minute introduction about yourself.
Okay.
This is a fun one.
I'm a Burnaby. Didn't grow up here, but I came from Europe as a working person 37 years ago, and I always live in Burnaby. I always had a business, different business. I've been done almost more than 6, 7 businesses in my lifetime in Canada, 37 years. I know how hard it is to run a business, and I think the current government does not bad job, and I'm not gonna knock them down. I think they're okay, and but we could do more to improve that small business can afford to have a places and to be able to thrive. So, and I am here to represent small businesses and families and working people, and hopefully the Burnaby South, I'll be their voice in system. I'm one independent guy, one guy. I cannot be a governor, but I can voice people's. I can be their voice and system to represent them. And I live in Burnaby Imperial for 37 years, so I'm like a local Burnaby guy.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Mei Ling, I'll send it over to you next.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I would like to thank the Burnaby Board of Trade for having me here this morning. Again, my name is Mei Ling Xia, and I'm your independent ML candidate for Burnaby South-Metrotown. I'm a long-term resident of Burnaby and have spent over a decade as a public servant and community advocate. I have served my community for 30 years and have worked with Canada Revenue Agency for 20 years. I live in a multi-generational household in Burnaby with my senior mom and my younger daughter, which is why I'm very passionate about senior and young people. I have served as a 2-term Burnaby school trustee and passionate advocate for focused education policy, upheld transparency in school governance and managing budgets while ensuring high education standards. I have consistently advocated an initiative that enhance education and support children's mental health, with collaborating with trustees, educators, and parents to navigate the challenges. I talk to residents of Burnaby daily, and I hear you. I understand your concern as well as all facing collapse in our healthcare, a shortage of safe, affordable housing. Our small business are stressed and taxed up to the max. Families struggling to put food on the table. While crime runs rampant in our community, we cannot go on like this, and we need to elect change who doesn't answer the political parties but works for you, the people in Burnaby. This election, being an independent candidate, is a vote for real change. Thank you so much for an enthusiasm I receive in our communities. Thank you for your support, and thanks again to Burnaby Board of Trade having me here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mei Ling. And last but not least, we will pass it over to Carrie.
Hi, my name is Carrie McLaren. I'm running with the Green Party. I have been working in the nonprofit housing field for the last 6 years, and also served on the board of in Burnaby as a local nonprofit at Progressive Housing on the board for 6 years before that. I actually went back to school to get my business degree and accounting, so I worked a lot for 10 years in small businesses in the accounting office, and so they were all actually all Burnaby based, which was great. So I knew a lot of some of what small businesses are facing, and one of the things I would love to have is more roundtables with business and the Board of Trade to have them meet up with MLAs and see what is needed and what MLAs, what the province can do to help with small businesses and make things easier for them and better. And I know right now a big one is skill shortages, lack of labor, people being sick or just can't find anybody. And that's one of the things that we want to do as a Greens as well, is encourage and incentivize and make sure there's enough spaces for people from any new immigrants coming in who have the skills to get them in and matched up with businesses that need that, locals, anybody to try and get the training they need to match up with local businesses, because we really want to encourage our local businesses to thrive. So I will leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you all for your introductions. Now we're going to move into our questions. And as I mentioned earlier, we've got 5 questions. Some of the key issues that are impacting businesses across the province and specifically here in Burnaby. So the first top issue that comes top of mind for many businesses is the increasing cost of doing business. It's been a huge burden on all small businesses, businesses of all size. So my first question to you is, what would you do to reduce the cost of doing business here in Burnaby and for those constituents in your riding? And for this one, we will start with Mei Ling. So we'll go Mei Ling, Carrie, Michael, Paul for this one, just to give you guys a heads up on the order. Mei Ling, you're still muted if you want to. There you go. Turn on so we can hear your answer. What would you do to help reduce the cost of doing business for our businesses here?
Sorry, I just always muted. I forgot to unmute.
No problem. And we have 1 minute for this one.
Okay. Yeah, my answer is the small business is being crashed due to the rising cost of staying open. Business owners are under pressures like never before. My main goal will be to advocate for lowering the carbon tax to alleviate some of the burden. The current government is hurting small business with so many new taxes in the last couple of years, including the carbon taxes. So we need to look at all these taxes and make adjustments. Small businesses are the backbone of our communities, and we must support them. However, we can so our community are thriving again.
Thank you, Mei Ling. Carrie, over to you.
I go unmute. Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of it's not one size fits all, unfortunately, solution to help with local business and try to help lower the cost, because there's worldwide costs are rising due to everything from weather, pandemic, to just shortage of, again, people who can make things that we need. So one of the things that Greens, we still want to keep the carbon tax, and like others, but we want to reduce some of the loopholes so that the larger corporations who may not be actually paying it will pay it. But we want to make sure that we put some of the tax burden onto some of the higher grossing profit makers. So any businesses over 1 billion, we would increase the marginal tax rate to 18%. So that's businesses making over $1 billion, not for the small businesses. And it would only impact about 35 companies, honestly, in BC. And that would raise more revenue, which then we can pump into helping small businesses with some lower tax breaks, with some grants, and with making sure we have enough staff. And again, it's a very many multi-pronged problem to lower costs all over the place that we need. There's a lot of input costs that are out of our control, but we can try the best we can to mitigate that and make it so that small businesses and local businesses can thrive. Thanks.
Thank you. And Michael.
Yes. Well, I have a different question. The reason small business is not thriving and they're not being successful because the economy, because the community is not making any money, any progress. We are charging too much taxes to the homeowners, and this is the problem. And then there's small businesses who are paying all these taxes, but unfortunately, big corporations are not paying their share of taxes. And if the homeowners property owners keep paying high taxes, and how they can afford to support our businesses? Our business is based on the community. If the community is not wealthy, not well sound, and economically sound, how are they going to support the small business? Small business doesn't just walk away, just doesn't work, because small business, you need the community, you need the people to be, to do business with you. So I'm as a contractor, so I can say I'm a painting contractor. I think people never want to paint their home, but the last few years, nobody wants to. They can afford it. because the property tax is very high for homeowners, for property owners. So instead of, while the working person pay to the last penny to the tax, and then small homeowners or property owners, they pay taxes to the last penny according to the chart, which is we have to. Why I cannot see why the big corporation they don't pay. Anyone not over a billion, everyone over a million should pay 20% tax. What is to them? If anybody paying less than $100,000 family household paying 18%, why they cannot pay? I think we have to be honest, and we have to be, to put something into this community. The government doesn't run on just on water. You need the business. Government business is tax. So how you bring services to the community, and if the rich corporations and the big corporations, big companies, they don't pay the share of tax. I think government is just doing a very fantastic job, and so of course we're paying the carbon tax as well. We should be paying, because that's we invest somewhere. Because when we're taxing, that tax is going to go somewhere. So for the public, if we don't have a good in any country, if we don't have a good education system, and then we don't have a good healthcare system, how can we expect the economy grow or the people advance? So as a government, I think this government, I'm not an MP guy, I'm an independent guy, but I think they're doing a good job and they could do better. And for sure, we need a tax. Because I'm an independent guy, so my voice means nothing. So, but as a voter, as a person, as a small business person, I think big corporations should pay more than what they're paying now. I think they're not paying enough share of the taxes, and then so they're with the one that they always get away with everything, every loophole, and then they don't pay for anything, and they keep charging tax to the homeowners and small property owners, and then if anyone has a house and they buy a small property or an apartment, something, and then they pay tons of taxes, but the big corporation, they don't pay anything. So is that fair? We need to charge big corporation more than what they're paying, honestly. So, and this is like this, government cannot run without any resources. So resources means taxes. We need to pay our share of taxes. Working person pays, so everybody pays. Big corporation should pay too, and they should pay more. So
Thank you, Michael.
you're welcome.
Okay, and then I will pass it over to Paul.
Thank you so much, Angie. So having a storefront business myself, not just business, but storefront, I also always have to deal with rent and wages and other operating costs. And reducing costs is always at the forefront of my business as well. So reducing the cost of doing business is crucial for ensuring that Burnaby's economy remains vibrant and competitive. And I recognize the challenges that business, especially business, face today. And I want to say that BCNDP has made real significant strides in this area. So for example, we have doubled the employer health tax exemption, meaning that 90% of the businesses no longer have to pay that tax. And this has had a huge relief on small business. Myself know that as well. And on top of that, we have cut the small business tax rate. So we are actually one of the lowest tax in this category in the country. And we introduced BC Electricity Affordability Credit, which provides small business with an average of $400 in savings, and anything helps. So in Burnaby, we know that real estate costs and other operational expenses can be particularly challenging. And I would continue to support and advocate for policies that reduce this financial strain in business. A key area I would focus on is cutting unnecessary red tapes that complicates business operations. And we have already made great progress with modernizing the licenses for businesses, breweries, and distilleries in Burnaby. Now, in contrast, John Rasta promised small business tax cuts when he was cabinet minister, but changed his mind and hiked MSB and ICBC burden for small business owners. Also, I want to clarify that carbon tax is a federal mandate, and we, BCNDP, has already said that we will scrap consumer carbon tax if federal government changes their mandatory mandate. So together, these BCNDP measures will create a more business-friendly environment in Burnaby, allowing our local business to grow, create jobs, and contribute to a thriving local economy. And by supporting these initiatives, we can ensure that Burnaby remains a great place to do business and our community continues to prosper. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. All right, so moving on to our next question. Another issue that's on the forefront of everyone is housing affordability. And, this impacts young families, seniors, and employers and employees. And there's no doubt an immediate need for some urgent action. So if elected, what would you do to increase housing needs here in Burnaby? And for this one, we're going to go Michael, Paul, Carrie mainly. So I will start with you, Michael.
Yes. Well, as an independent candidate, one person cannot do anything, but I can say for people, speak for people. Housing is a big problem in BC. A lot of speculation, so we need to get rid of that. And then a lot of empty homes are not rented. We need to make sure they're renting or they pay more tax for it. And a lot of the biggest problem is a lot of high property taxes and from homeowners for small businesses, and they can afford to have anything. But developers keep building and building, but they're not they don't have enough supply, and so it's supply and demand. So I think we need to build more housing, especially more affordable housing for seniors, for students, and for young families. And we need to get rid of homelessness. How are we going to do that? We need to build more. Actually, this is a very important thing in BC. The real problem is housing problem, homelessness, and we need to solve this problem. How are we going to do that? As a candidate, I will support any government that that put initiative and put more heart in it in building more affordable housing for community, so that for homeless people, for seniors, for students, and for homeless people, and for single parents, people that really need homes. And we have so many people coming in, from everywhere, and many students come from everywhere, all over the countries, all over the world, and we have to stop this problem because this is causing more homelessness. Because when students come in here, they rent in a place, they pay high rent. The landlord, they can charge them $2,500, $3,000 for a 2-bedroom place. There are 5, 10 guys living in one place. I live in my place. We have 4 guys, 2-bedroom apartment. I had to make living room for the temporary wall to make rooms and rent it out. Otherwise, I couldn't afford to live in Burnaby. So this is the problem. So we brought too many international students from specific countries, and then those guys should be going back. When they come here to study, they should go back to their country, not giving them any opportunity to be here and then to become a Canadian citizen and then become a burden on people. So they're taking the jobs away from the people, from Canadians, and they're renting the places that which is the average person cannot afford to rent. So that's the problem. We bringing many students from all over the countries for their own benefit, for parties who they bring him, I don't know who, but for to getting more future votes, so they help them to immigrate. This is not really Canadian. We need to take care of our own people first by providing housing for Canadians, not bringing so many people from out of the country, from somewhere else. So this is the problem. We don't need to invest money in the other country. We need to take care of our own guys, young. We have many Canadian homeless people. So.
Great, thank you. Paul, we'll send it over to you. Increase housing needs here in Burnaby.
Yes, and thanks, Angie. So housing affordability is one of the most urgent issues we face here in Burnaby, and you know that, and it affects everyone from young families and seniors to employers and employees. Operating a real estate law practice has allowed me to really share all the up and downs of tens of thousands of home buyers and sellers entering and exiting the housing market and all the challenges that comes with it. If elected, I would fully support and build on the BCNDP's ambitious housing action plan, which is already in motion and is driving the construction of new homes, as we can see around us. And we're cracking down on speculators, cutting red tapes that delay housing projects. And these are real actions we have taken. And so the experts estimate that this plan will result in 300,000 new homes cross-province, which is exactly the kind of action we need to solve this crisis. So in Burnaby, we need to prioritize the construction of affordable housing, particularly rental housing. And I support policies that encourage municipalities to build more home market rental housing by tying infrastructure funding to housing starts and waiving provincial property taxes for new purpose-built rentals. And this approach ensures that we're not just building homes, but homes that people can actually afford. And I also believe that we need to take advantage of the opportunities that come with transit-oriented development. So by promoting more housing development around the transit stations, we can ensure that new housing is accessible meets the needs of residents who rely on public transportation and making Burnaby more livable for everyone. So unlike John Rusted and conservatives who have track record of prioritizing the wealthiest of few, BCNDP is committed for housing for all of us. And we are expanding the speculation tax and limiting home flipping, making it harder for those who drive up housing costs operate unchecked. So I'm also committed to supporting initiatives that prioritize housing on public land. And instead of selling off public land for profit, BCNDP is partnering with nonprofits and private sector to build affordable homes. And these are real concrete actions that will make Burnaby more affordable for first-time home buyers, renters, and workers alike. Thank you, Angie.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, next we're going to go over to Carrie, please.
Thank you. Yeah, housing is near and dear to my heart since I work in the nonprofit housing sector. Yeah, there is a huge lack of housing in this province, and in Lower Mainland in particular, the rental rates, they're non-existent. I get calls every day from people looking for vacancies or looking to be on wait lists for co-ops where I work. There's no movement, unfortunately. So one of the things, well, there's many things that we want to assist with the province and try to build up more rentals, purpose-built, as well as non-market. Not just partnering with municipalities to meet our housing development targets, which are, for us, we want to build at least 26,000 per year of non-market housing and 3,000 units dedicated specifically for Indigenous peoples, and implement the province-wide zoning initiatives to end exclusionary zoning for non-market housing, and again, support nonprofits, housing cooperatives, and with upfront investment, capital grants, low interest financing, and government-backed construction loans and mortgage guarantees. We need to build them. We need those shovels in the ground. They should have been done years ago, unfortunately. But part of that is also to make sure that as we're building, we're not leaving out and behind any of the infrastructure needed to actually support those new housing units, including, sewer, water hookups, all of that you need. So there would be $650 million annually in infrastructure funding to the municipalities to help assist with those requirements, because you can't just build a building without, the plumbing fixtures and the sewer hookups and everything else. So that's one of the things. The other one is try and, on the bigger other side, is introduce legislation to recognize housing as a fundamental human right and implement regulations to curb the impact of short-term rentals, as well as investigate with other levels of government on the fact that we have so many different businesses who are in the business of making profit off of rentals and off of property, and they're holding it for investments like REITs and limited partnerships. So we want to try and ban the sale of residential units to REITs. We want to have housing for people to live in, not just for somebody to have in their portfolio. There's a whole bunch of other things, measures that we want to work on, and I know Burnaby's been doing really well with the new municipal government to try and build more housing and shelters and address the shortfall. And so we would definitely work with the city and all the cities to make sure that we can build more. If you check out our platform, we have a few pages on that, and we're always, again, open to getting new ideas to make sure that we're not missing anything through loopholes, and to make sure that we're not missing anything that is required to make sure that everybody has a home. It is a human right that everybody have a home. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. And Mei Ling.
Yes, okay. Okay, I'm on. Okay, actually, I think house issue is very big, is significant big problem right now. And then because my daughter is living with me, so right now she can afford to buy anything. So that's the big issues. But the things is we need to implement a measure to increase affordable housing options for seniors and for young people, and families include rental subsidies and support for co-living space. This also affects small business as added cost for their business means That's take-home pay. So small business owners are struggling on all fronts. This is an urgent situation. And when elected, this will be an urgent priorities. But also, like Green Party says, Kerry says, but right now the Bill 44 and Bill 47 is no component with the infrastructure. So once the density increase, but the traffic is getting tough on the people commute or drivings. So I think that's the component we are not only looking for the affordable housing, we also need to looking all the structure that the parliament doesn't combine everything into a one package. So also the house issues right now, I think with the high costs right now, so we should have a more budget to help those senior and affordable housing to build. And then I think we should learn from some other Asia country like Singapore, Korean. They do have a public home, so that can put in the less pressure on the taxes on the government, and then we can also help the resident of our community.
Right. Thank you, Mei Ling. Tough to answer these big questions in 1 minute. I get that. So thank you all for being brief on your answers. You're packing a lot of information into those 60 seconds. The next question we wanted to ask about is in an area that the Burnaby Board of Trade has identified as one of our key areas that we're focusing on supporting. We've invested in workforce development here in Burnaby, understanding that in order for our businesses to be successful, we're going to need the people and the training required to meet future needs. In regards to labor challenges, can you please speak to what you would do to support? And for this one, we're going to go Carrie, Michael, Mei Ling, Paul. So I will start with you, Carrie.
Thank you. Again, it's a big problem with a lack of people and lack of trading. Where are people going to live? The whole thing there. But for the workforce and helping them, one of the things we want to do is help with providing meaningful opportunities and match, if we can, people with the people hiring, with businesses hiring, is increase support for the youth climate course, connecting young people with meaningful jobs across the province. That includes everything from restoring environment, building new infrastructure, fostering connections with communities, and giving them a good foundation for the future, where jobs are going to be. Work with the construction industry and create a program for young people and apprentices to upskill in retrofitting, because that's going to be a big thing going forward, to make sure the buildings are retrofit for all the electrification that's going to be happening, heat pumps, etc. And making sure buildings are going to be able to adapt and be sustainable for the future with our changing climates. We also want to expand research and commercialization program to provide support and mentoring for innovators at early stages of their development before they reach any proof of concepts, and amend community grants programs that are funded by the carbon tax, and limiting those who are outside of BC, because we want to prioritize local business support, and expand the in BC business investment opportunities with additional focus on supporting rural British Columbians as well, and ensuring equitable access to investment opportunities. Procurement policies that the government has to make sure ensure local contractors benefit first, and just helping with career programming, training, and mentorship, because it is hard finding jobs these days, unfortunately. But we're trying to work on it.
Thank you, Carrie. And next, we're going over to Michael.
Yes, I believe in that we have to invest in our community, in our business, in our students, our young people. Without having trade schools and getting kids start learning some skills, some trades from a young age, from 15 to up, and then so we need to get more trade schools to have a qualified people to work. That's the main thing. And we have to stop bringing people from other countries unless they're qualified people, like they really need it. But we need to invest in our students, our young people, to have a good schools to educate them, and trade schools so they can learn skills, so they can build on that. And the quality work is very important. And if you don't have a good trade schools, and then just a person, a slave, as a labor, it doesn't solve the problem. So we bring in cheap labor from other countries. Why don't we educate our own kids to teach them how to get some skills, and then build on that. We have a lot of people are jobless in BC, Canadian workers, Canadian students, young people, and they're not doing anything because all the jobs are taken away. Why a foreign person come from other country as a student work here, while a Canadian worker student cannot work here? They can. If you go every small business, they try hire the foreign workers. Why? Because they're cheaper labor. Well, we don't need to bring this in. We need to take care of our own guys. We need to take care of our students. We should invest in our schools, to our schools, better education. Without education, we cannot develop. We cannot go anywhere. So education is based on having good trade schools, having good career schools, and so that people have some skills, and from young age, and they can build on that. So we need to reduce taxes on a little bit from on a small businesses so they can afford to have workers. That's another thing. So but the big corporations are paying taxes. These are guys are bigger actually. To me, they're like a criminals. They get away with everything, but we all small businesses. I suffered all my life. 37 years I'm in business all my life. I never made a penny. I got no dollar in my bank account on my name. I swear to God. No. So why? Because I can afford to have any workers. Well, because homeowners can afford to hire or hire anybody to do their project for them. So why? Because of we charge too much tax on the homeowners, and then homeowners cannot afford to hire us, pay better money, and we cannot afford to hire anybody. So it's like a chain of it's going nowhere. So is the main key is the big corporation should pay more taxes, and then the small business pay less tax a little bit. And we need to build more trade schools to train our kids from young age, and they can become developed. Otherwise, we keep importing from people from other countries. We're not going to go anywhere, and we keep pushing
Thank
our
you,
guys
Michael.
down. Yeah, so we're pushing our guys down, but we're not helping our own guys, and we're bringing some people from somewhere else. That's not fair. So
Thank you. Next up, Mei Ling.
I think we need to make education and upskill easy. Oh, so am I again lost
Yep,
my
you're
voice?
good. No,
Oh,
we're hearing you
okay.
loud and clear. Perfect. Yep.
Okay, sorry.
Nope.
We need to make education and upskills easy for and affordable so we can support the demand for hiring skilled workers. This can look like putting grant in place for people wanting to upgrade their skills for specific jobs. This could be increase the provincial grant for people wanting to go back to school to change careers. We want to be able to support our workforce and make sure they are well prepared for their career path. But as a two-term school trustee, I think there's a very good program as a parentship program that we have operated around as in the high school grade 11 and grade 12 the area. I think that level is putting the people has a young age can learn their skill and then can have their own demand to go where they need to go, and then not after they graduate that they wandering around, they don't know where to go. I think start with a young age is the best, and then I'm super appreciate the program during when I was a trustee. So that's why I think we should put more funding into that program to help the kids start early, to learn their skill, to build their confidence into the industry.
Thank you, Mei Ling. And Paul, over to you.
Thank you so much, Angie. I have to admit, I also struggle sometimes to find staff for my business, and a lot of my friends as well who owns restaurants and cafe tell me the same. So I know that labor challenges are impacting businesses across Burnaby and BC, and if elected, my priority would be to address these by investing in skill training, workforce development to meet the demands of our growing economy. The BC NDP has made already significant progress by expanding across and access to post-secondary education and apprentice programs, particularly in high-demand sectors like technology, healthcare, construction, and film industries that are cornerstone to Burnaby's economy. But we know that there's more to be done, and we need to support businesses by ensuring that they have access to the skilled workforce they need And that's why I will push for continued investment in affordable, high-quality childcare, which is essential for parents, as we know, especially for women, to re-enter the workforce. And this is tied to our broader goal of making housing more affordable, because when people live near where they work, it boosts job retention and economic stability, and I know how important that is. I will also advocate for programs that help business attract and retain workers by offering incentive for skill development, retaining, and upskilling, especially for young people and newcomers and those transitioning into new careers. These efforts, combined with our BC NDP's initiatives like affordable housing and public transit investment, will ensure that Burnaby's workforce can thrive. Now, let's be clear, John Rustad and the Conservatives have no plan to address labor shortages or workforce development. They're historically ignored the needs of work people and instead prioritize tax cuts for the wealthiest. And their record is one of cuts to education and training programs, which would only deepen the labor crisis we face. We simply cannot afford to go back to those days. So the BC-NDP will continue to invest in people and create good paying jobs, sustainable jobs, ensuring that Burnaby's businesses have the skilled workforce they need to succeed, and together we can build a thriving economy that works for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Okay. So our next question, we're going to dig a little deeper into one of those cornerstone industries here in Burnaby, and that is our film industry. So 66% of Metro Vancouver's film studios are here in Burnaby, and that spill-off is significant for many different businesses that support the industry, from restaurants to service providers. Recently, the current government has promised, if elected, that they would refresh the tax incentives so that BC can remain competitive in this area. So my question to the other candidates is, how would you support this industry should you be elected? And to Paul, if you can elaborate on what's been announced and what may happen moving forward. So for this one, we will start with Paul. Then we're going to go Mei Ling, Michael, Carrie.
Thank you so much, Angie. I am deeply committed to the thriving film industry we have in Burnaby, and had the privilege of visiting the Bridge Studios and met with the many stakeholders and staff there. So absolutely, as you can see, the real action we have taken as the current government, which BBOT applauded when it was announced, which is really appreciated. The BC-NDP is fully committed to supporting the film industry, which is so crucial to our economy, especially here in Burnaby, where 66% of Metro Vancouver's film studios are located. And this industry generated nearly $5 billion in production spending in 2022 and employs over 70,000 people across the region. So it's a cornerstone of our local economy, fueling not only jobs for actors and crew members, but also for local businesses like restaurants, equipment supplies, and coffee shops that thrive thanks to the film production in our city. Now, BC-NDP has already taken significant action by increasing the production service tax credit and film incentive BC rebate to 36%, and that is amazing. This boost is expected to create an additional 7,000 jobs and ensure that BC remains competitive in attracting international productions. With regions like Ontario updating their tax incentive, it's crucial that we stay ahead to keep these productions and the jobs and economic growth that they bring here in Burnaby. And as your BC-NDP candidate for Burnaby South-Metrotown, I am committed to continuing the support to our film industry. And Burnaby is home to Canadian Motion Picture Park Studios, as we know, one of the largest production facilities in North America. And keeping productions here means more jobs, not just on set, but for businesses throughout our community. So we also need Ottawa to step up and ensure that BC receives its fair share of federal support. Despite our film industry being as large as Ontario's, federal funding is heavily skewed towards the east, and BC-NDP will continue to fight to make sure our talented workers and productions get the recognition and support they deserve. So in short, BC-NDP is committed to growing the industry, creating good paying jobs, and ensuring that Burnaby remains a global hub for film and television production. Thanks.
Thank you, Paul. Next, Mei Ling.
Okay, I'm on.
There you go.
Yeah, the film industry is very important for both Burnaby and our province. As we understand, they can make movies anywhere we need to be competitive and encourage them to stay here. I would support effectively and reasonably tax incentive to keep them here in Burnaby and in BC. As I indicated, I was a trustee. We do have a few apprenticeship program with Capilano College to develop those related program in leading the kids to the film industry. So that's why we definitely need the filming industry stay in BC, stay in Burnaby. Especially we're in Burnaby, and then I support definitely, but we need to have a more attraction component to attract those people staying here. So if we be able to, I will try my best to protect the film industry, stay in Burnaby, stay in BC.
Thank you, Mei-Ling. Michael.
Yes. Well, as everybody says, film is a very important thing, but nobody say that, we should use taxes for film industry so that they can afford to have people. And we need, again, education again. We need train people, have more schools to our kids learn about film and technology. So we need to have more schools for students to study, to learn skills. And we need to reduce taxes so that everybody does business in BC, in Burnaby and BC. So without reducing taxes, we cannot attract people to come here. We're going to charge them too much tax. We need to reduce taxes for the film industry, for artists, and for people that can afford to have people that can hire people. So and we need to have a better education for the kids to give them more opportunities. We need the sponsorship to them. We need the kids to open schools for them so they can afford to go to schools. So sponsorship is another thing. So basically, we need to be able to allow the kids to have opportunity, and so which is with as low cost as possible to be able to go to school and learn skills, and then they can be part of the industry. And many people they want to go to art school, they want to go to film school, but they cannot afford. You know how much? Because the tuition fees are very high. We need to reduce tuition fees for the students all across Canada. Not only just one sector of industry, but for all students. Tuition fees are very high. I think they're paying too much money, students, and they don't have anything. We should have scholarships. Besides, we should lower the tuition fees possible to students to get a chance to go to school. Because otherwise, creative poor kids cannot go to school because of the high tuition fees. So we need to get jobs that to lower down.
Thank you, Michael. And last but not least, Carrie. There you are.
Hit the button. Thanks.
Yeah.
I actually go past the Bridge Studios all the time for work, and it is a huge industry. I have neighbors who work in the industry, so the fact that Burnaby has 60% of the studios in BC is huge, and Greens would actually continue the incentivization for the BC tax credit for film industry, but also make sure that the local companies, the domestic tax credit, is increased so that we're still competitive and that the local companies get a cut versus companies coming in and taking all the IP royalties and everything else out of the country and out of the province. We want to make sure that the local companies that do the work here, stay here all the time and do great productions, actually get a better cut of the pie, shall we say? And yes, with training, always education is key. My first time going to school, I actually went to BCIT for television production, so I have a small idea of how that works. But I went into the other side and went back for business. But it is a huge industry. I love seeing them on the streets, even though people might not like it when they cut off traffic. But still, they bring huge dollars into the local economy when all of our local folks get jobs and can work on these productions. So yeah, we would continue the incentivization, continue that program for the tax credits to allow more productions here in town and keep our local production companies keep some of that, much more of that pie as possible. Anyway,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. All right, so on to our final question. I just wanted to give each of you the opportunity to speak directly to the business community and let them know, if you are elected, what is it that you will be doing for the businesses within your community. And for this one, the final order, we're going to go Mei-Ling, Carrie, Paul, Michael. And so I think that way we've all had a chance to lead and finish, and I think we've mixed up the order. So yeah, just a quick recap on directly to the business community. What would you like to say to them? Mei-Ling, please go ahead.
Okay. I want my writing to be successful. To be successful, our small businesses have to thrive. I don't see much advocacy for small business in our current government, and that hasn't to change. My top priorities are to reduce the carbon tax, look at the other taxes and have been piled on small business and make it changes. Affordability is key to small business being successful, so tackling the high cost of living so these hardworking business owners don't have to struggle to make end meet. If things were more affordable, customers could spend more in small business. Transit needs to be safe and accessible for people can easily get around. Addresses the crime in our community by ending the fair catch to and release policy, enhance our public safety and tough on crime. Business owners shouldn't have to deal with the crime on top of the challenge they face to stay open. So that's my my goal for being elected. Thank you so much for having me here again for me allow the time. Luckily, I can finish within my time frame. Thank you.
Thank you, Mei-Ling. Carrie.
Thank you. Again, my name is Carrie McLaren and I'm running for the Green Party. I know it's been very tough for businesses as well as people. Everything is, there's a lot of high costs. And for businesses to thrive, people also need to thrive. And we need to create those conditions that allow people to be able to afford what they can. They can go to businesses. Businesses can afford to buy what they need and to be able to serve the rest of the community. Transit, we want to make sure that there's free transit. We want to make sure that there are taxing those companies that are currently going through loopholes for carbon tax, for example. We need to make sure that the people get education that they want to be able to go find the jobs that they want. We need to make sure that we have housing so that people can afford to stay here and be able to live locally and work locally, not have huge commutes from Hope or Chilliwack to be able to work here in Burnaby. And I want all the province and our city to be successful, and to do that we need to make sure that people are first. They have a place to live, they have education, jobs, they are going to be able to thrive. So again, I'm Carrie McLaren with the Green Party, and please check out our fully costed platform. And when you're voting on October 19th, it's a new riding. Give us a shot. You won't be surprised at what we can do, because we have put it out there for years. This is who we are, and we want people to thrive. And for that, we want businesses to thrive. We want the environment to thrive. Thank you.
Carrie. Paul.
Thank you, Angie. Again, my name is Paul Choi. I'm your BC NDP candidate for Burnaby South-Metrotown, and I want my fellow BBOT members and friends in Burnaby to have a thriving and successful businesses. My top priorities for supporting Burnaby's business communities are focused on reducing costs of doing business, addressing labor shortages, and ensuring that Burnaby remains a hub for key industries like film, technology, and small businesses. So first, my plan would continue to cutting red tapes and reducing unnecessary regulatory burdens. And we have already made strides with initiatives like modern licensing for industries such as restaurants and breweries, allowing business to operate more smoothly. And if elected, I will work to expand these efforts, ensuring that small and medium-sized businesses don't get bogged down by outdated regulations and can focus on growth. Another priority is focusing and fostering an environment that encourages innovation and entrepreneurship. A few months ago, BBOT and myself, as the president of the North Road BIA, co-hosted a Korean Business Connections where potential new collaborative opportunities were shared between Korean and Canadian businesses. And we need to build strong trade relationships, both locally and internationally, to open up new markets for Burnaby businesses right here. And one of the biggest challenge business face today, as we talked about, is labor shortages. And that's why I will focus on workforce development. We need to continue investing in skills training and ensure business have access to stable, qualified workforce. This also means tackling the house affordability crisis. And when people can afford to live where they work, business benefit from higher employee retention and stronger, more resilient local economy. Public safety is another key factor in supporting our business community. Leaning on my experience as a former police officer, I will advocate for initiatives that address mental health, brain injuries, addictions, and ensuring that we tackle root causes of crime and disorder in our streets. And when business and their employees feel safe, our entire community will thrive. So my top priorities are clear: reduce costs, cut red tapes, support workforce development, and create a safe, more livable community. And I'm committed to ensuring that Burnaby remains a model for sustainable economic growth and a great place to do business. So my name is Paul Choi, your BC NDP candidate, and I hope to earn your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul. And for our final comments, Michael.
Yes. Again, it's all about economy. Business is service to community. So how are they going to do business if the community is not sound, economically well off? So homeowners, they need to pay less tax so they can afford to do business. Seniors, they need to pay less tax. Seniors and students should be able to afford to live comfortably so they can do business with business people. So businesses rely on the community. If the community cannot afford, who's going to hire businesses for what? Right? So we need to make sure that small owner of the business properties or whatever the homeowners, property owners pay less tax, and the seniors should get their transportation for free. So students, and they should have a affordable housing so that they have money to spend in the community. Go to restaurants, go to coffee shop, go buy whatever they need to do. So without community being economically well and sound, business cannot do business because there's nobody gonna do business with them. So, and we need to make sure that our young people are educated and trade schools so the business can have a qualified people, our own people, in our own yard. So we can do that. And we do another, that we always have free trade with America as well, Mexico, somewhere else. Now, do you think this is fair for the Canadian workers? We buy America is 350 million people. We are 35 million people. So we have to buy equal amount of product from them to do free trade? No. We need to open our borders for business out of just America or Mexico. We need to be open to the world markets without any discrimination, without any putting somebody, red tape on them. So we need to sell our goods, our services to the world markets. So to do that, so we need to make sure that every country is allowed, equally have equal access to our services, our goods, so we can sell them in a free world market with better money, so businesses can thrive and make more money. So we're not stuck with somewhere else. We are selling our oil to America and then we are buying from them again. What's up with that? Who makes money from that? So, or we are lumber, we only sell in America. No, we need to sell to the world markets. Business. Whoever pays more for my service, I'm gonna give them my service, right? So we need to first start from our community to make sure our people be able to afford to live comfortably in the community. Senior students, young families, poor kids should be able to have a better chance to succeed and to be able to afford to have those services, and homeowners and small property owners. So again, the people should not paying their fair share of tax, and we are putting everything on homeowners and the small business owners, and our students cannot go to school, educate themselves because we have no money to fund them. So we need to send our kids to school to educate and learn more skills. So, and then we can do business.
Thank you, Michael.
I'm a Burnaby independent candidate, Michelangelo, and I'm going to donate my salary to poor orphan children and women shelters if I'm elected. I believe in politicians should be volunteer public service, not for the pocket, not for profit, for the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Well, thank you all for stepping up to run in this campaign, and thank you all for spending the time with us and speaking to our business community. We appreciate you taking that time out of your day. I'm sure you're all very busy during this season. I wish you all the best of luck with the upcoming election. And to those tuning in, just a reminder that you can now cast your vote by mail. There's advanced voting, and then of course mark your calendar for Saturday, October 19th, and make sure that everybody shows up to vote. Again, thank you all for being here. It was a pleasure to get to see you all, and best of luck.